Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this adorable Hugs and Kisses Valentine's Day card. First, let's do a quick run through of all the different things we'll be using to make this card. So we're going to be using this lovely French background stamp from Stampin' Up! We're also going to be using the Big Shot die from Stampin' Up! It's Lacy Brocade. Love this one. We will be using the Hugs and Kisses stamp from the Fiskars Lasting Love Quotes. And we're going to use this XO from Cloud9 Design rubber stamps. We'll be using the Leaf Punch off the Blossom Petal Builder Stampin' Up! Punch. For inks, we're going to be using Creamy Caramel from Stampin' Up! And also Chocolate Chip. I plan on using the petite version of the chocolate chip just because it seems to be easier to use with smaller stamps. We're going to be using some dimensionals. You can pick these up at any of your local arts and crafts stores. A sponge for inking. We're going to use the Fiskars Paper Edgers scissors. This one's called Arabian. We're going to need some ribbon. Alright, in an effort to save a little time, I went ahead and pre-cut everything out. The card itself is going to be 5.5 inches by 4 1/4 once it's folded. The background of the card is going to be 5 1/4 by 4 inches. The insert for inside the card is 5 inches by 3 3/4. Alright, so here are each of the pieces we're going to use on the front of the card. I'm going to go ahead and lay them out so that you can see the different pieces that we've cut out. I've got the square background piece at 2.5 inches by 2.5. Its insert is going to be 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. The big rectangle is 4 inches by 1 3/4. The insert for the rectangle is 3 3/4 by 1 1/2. And the little rectangle is 3 1/4 by 1 1/2. And its insert is 3 inches by 1 1/4. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start by folding our card, and then we're going to move on to our background piece. And we're going to take our background stamp, flip it over, and then we're going to ink it up with our chocolate chip ink. So then you just take your insert paper and you line it up on the ink. Put it down very careful not to move it around, and then just kind of smoosh your hand on it, kind of make sure that you get all of it. And it doesn't matter if you get ink on the back of it, because it's the back. I tend to always get ink on everything when I'm making cards. Alright, nice and squished all the way across. And then when you lift it up, you want to grab one corner first and then just pull away. And then you get a nice, beautiful background paper. We're going to set that aside. And of course, you always want to clean all your stamps right away so that you don't get any kind of staining on your stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and stop and clean my stamp real fast. Alright, now we're going to slide this aside and let it continue drying. And while that's drying, we're going to go ahead and do the Hugs and Kisses insert for inside the card. And then you have your beginning of your card. Later on, I'm going to show you how you kind of ink the edges with the sponge to give it that kind of like rustic look. But for now, we're going to just set it aside and let it dry as well. and we will stamp the XO. Alright, so I went ahead and cleaned my stamp, and I started to cut it out with the Fiskars scissors. I figured I'd show you guys just how I went about cutting it out. I just kind of go around it until it's the size that I think would look nice on the front of the card. I think that's good. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and clean up this mess, and then we're going to move on to giving that background a little bit more dimension. So I'll be right back. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pull our image out, and it's got that nice image. You can't really see it yet, and that's what we're going to use the spun for, to make it a little bit more visible. So we're going to take our creamy caramel and then my sponge real quick, and then we're going to give this that rustic kind of feel. You just take your sponge and you kind of dab it in the ink, and then you just softly smush it over the image so that it starts to kind of be a little bit more visible. You can go as light or as dark as you want with this. That way it kind of has just your own personality that shows through. I kind of like it to be a little bit lighter because the card has so much going on in the front, and we're going to give it that really big popping look when we add the XO to the front. So we're going to go ahead and just finish this off real quick. Since we've got our sponge out and we've already got our fingers covered in ink, we're going to go ahead and grab that XO, and then we're going to sponge the sponge into the ink again, and then you want to just kind of like flick it on the edges, kind of give it that look, that sponged finished look on the front of that card. Alright, so there is my finished product. So we're going to take our insert and our sponge and just smoosh it into the ink like before, and then we're going to give it that same spongy, rustic-y, awesome look that I've fallen in love with. We're going to go ahead and start designing the front of the card while we wait for that insert to dry. So we're going to take all our pieces. I went ahead and pre-glued each of the inserts on the backgrounds just to save a little bit of time. We're going to start with the big rectangle, and you're just going to tape it on. And I've got this massive tape gun, which is a Scotch brand. I love the thing because it saves a lot of money and I make a lot of cards. So if you want to save money, I recommend it highly. At first it was really hard to get used to using it because it is so big, but I absolutely love it now. So we're going to take it, and this one is kind of like guessing whatnot. You just kind of put it wherever you really think it's going to look best. I like to pre-stick everything on there so I can kind of see what I like, but we're going to wing it. And I like it right about here, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to see if it's straight. You want to get it as straight as possible if you're OCD. If not, hey, it won't matter. But make sure your words are upright before you tape anything down. So I think that looks straight, so we're going to go ahead and push it on. Then you're going to take your little rectangle and give it some tape. And there's really no rhyme or reason. Just kind of, it doesn't need a whole lot of tape because it'll stay on, trust me. Especially if you're using the permanent brand, which is about the only one I use. So then we're going to go ahead and layer it on there, giving it that fun layered look that I've got on the front of it. And we're going to smush that on and go ahead and tape the next one. And don't tape this on just yet because the ribbon. I almost messed up last time I made this card with ribbon, and that's how it ended up on the inside of the card, like this. It wasn't originally supposed to be like that, but I forgot to, because what I was going to do was put the ribbon on where I wanted it and then wrap it around the insert, but I didn't do that because I taped this piece down first on accident. So I'm going to go ahead and recreate that mistake so that you guys can see how I did the ribbon on the inside. Alright, so then we've got it taped down to the front of our card. So this is where I was like, oh no, I messed up. But we fixed it. So we took our little X-Acto looking knife with our little blade, and we lined our ribbon up kind of where we wanted it, like I was going to in the beginning. And then once I marked it, I kind of got it as straight as possible. Like I said, you're not going to get it all perfect, but you get it kind of as straight as possible. And then you take your little knife and you poke a little hole right above where you want it to go. And then you go across and you do it again. And it's going to be your guide, and then you're going to just kind of like cut little holes with your little knife. These knives can be kind of a pain in the butt, and you just kind of got to work with it. I found that if you stick it through the card after you've poked a little hole, it kind of helps. And then you just want to make that slit big enough for the ribbon, as wide as the ribbon is, so that the ribbon can go through it on both sides. So then you're going to take your ribbon like so. I'm going to try and, there you go. And then take the back of the blade and poke it through into the card. And you want to pull it in. And see, it's not quite thick enough, so you're going to take your blade on the outside of the ribbon and cut it a little bit more space to move freely. And then, see, you're going to have that lovely ribbon look, but you're going to pull it through the back of the card first and poke it back out through the other side. Same way you poked it in the front. With the back of the blade, just take it and shove it through the slit that you created and pull it. If it's not quite wide enough, just go ahead and take your knife, make it a little bit wider until it fits the ribbon nice and flat, because you want to have that nice flat look on the edge. And then you just want to cut off the ribbon in the center of the card. I'll go ahead and grab my cutter beads and cut that for you and let you see. So we just go ahead and cut it, and now you have two pieces like so. We're going to take and tape these guys down. Like so. And then we're going to take our square piece and we're going to tape it on. We're going to tape it this way because I like how the pattern looks this way. And then you just want to kind of put it evenly on each side and give it a kind of like a bordered look. Stick that bad boy on there and just kind of push it down like so. And then you've got this really cool like ribbon on the inside. I like how it looks. If you don't like it, then you can always just put it behind the background part. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put dimensionals on our XO. Then I'm going to show you how to make the heart. I actually didn't have a heart punch, so I got pretty creative, and that's how I came to mess with the petal punch from Stampin' Up. And it actually turned out way cooler than I thought it was going to, especially when I figured out how to give it that like dimensional 3D kind of look that I ended up with. Alright, so we've got that on, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into the petal punch. So we're going to take this thing. I love the fact that it has a little locking method on the back. You just pop it open like that. And I used some kind of bumpy, rigidy red cardstock that I had in my scrap folder to make this part. And you just kind of, I like to do it this way so I can see what I'm doing and I don't have to waste more paper. So I just kind of line it up in here so that you get the, woo, and they shoot out. So beware of that. And then you just get this really cool little, and then you just kind of repeat that a second time so that you get 2 of them. They do pop up when you punch them this way. And then you're just going to set it aside and take some scissors, and once you line it, like this rigidy paper kind of leaves a little bit of a funky edge on it in some spots. Trim that off. So I took it and I stuck it in like a heart shape, like how I was going to stick it on the card. And then I just round it. Here, let me see. I'll put it over the dark so you can see better what I'm doing. Okay, see how it's got these pointy edges right here? Well, I didn't like that, so I just went ahead and I rounded them off. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and I like it kind of on and off both these little squares here, so I'm going to tape it down, and then I'm going to take the other half of the heart that I created, and I'm going to put some little dimensional dots on it so that it kind of like pops up off the card. And then you line up your heart so that it looks nice and even. Go ahead and lift that up and scoot it over just a tiny bit. And then you've got this like little 3D kind of pop-up heart, half on, half off type look, which I love. And then you've got the 3D edge. So that's the front of the card. We're going to go ahead and tape in the inside, and that will be the end of this card. I hope you guys enjoyed it and had fun making this card. I know I did, and I absolutely love how it came out. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment. And I look forward to showing you guys how to make more cards in the future. Alright, and then you want to just make sure you have a nice little border all the way around. And then of course you've got room to write. It's going to be nice and fun. And there you go. That is our finished product. Thanks for watching.